and welcome to Tayo Mini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm sorry, I feel like I've been out for about 2 months. It's been a little over 2 months, but I've been busy and I've been traveling, and work was just a lot. And I was also exploring new ventures that I want to get into. But in the midst of that, I traveled to Lagos, Nigeria, and I got some books. So let's talk about it. So, if you know or you don't know, I grew up in Lagos and moved from Lagos to America a long time ago. I haven't been back in about 8 years, and so this was a very emotional, nostalgic trip for me, and I was super excited to go. I got to see some of my family. I got to see some of my friends that I haven't seen in a long time, 8 years to be precise. And I got to see, some of the places that I grew up and stuff like that. It was really nice. I also got to visit some bookstores in Lagos. Now, when I was growing up in Lagos, we didn't really have nice bookstores. You did have bookstores, but not in the sense you were thinking. They were selling more school books. So not you if they had novels, it would be like a really small selection, or you would see them in kiosks by the roadside, or just a beat down shop somewhere. And so I grew up reading the more popular mainstream authors at the time: Dan Brown, Dean Koontz, Jeffrey Archer, John Grisham, Sidney Sheldon, um, Dan Brown. Did I say that? I feel like my age is showing. But those were the books I grew up reading. And so I have been reading since I was like, I don't know, since I could read. So I've been reading for a really long time. So those were the books that I grew up reading, but finding good books was really hard. And if you got them, condition was not really good. It would be dusty or, just torn, something like that, right? So when I was doing my research on going back, bookshops were one of the places that I wanted to go. And so I was super excited to experience that in person. Now, I went to 3 different shops. Two on like the island and one on the mainland. So I went to Roving Heights in Surulere, although I think they have another branch on the island. I went to Jazzhole in Ikoyi, and I went to Nook in Lekki Phase 1. So I'm going to go through all the books that I bought from each store, and we can kind of talk about it. So the first place that I went to was, well, not the first place, but I have the books here. I'm just going to go by that. It's the Jazzhole. I got a Broken People's playlist by Chimeka Garrix. I've always wanted to get this book. People have actually recommended this book to me. I'm not really a short story person, but I am kind of open to it now because I've read some really good ones. This is based on Port Harcourt, which is a city in Nigeria or a state in Nigeria. I think it's a state. It's a state in Nigeria, or it's a state in Nigeria. And this is talking about 12 stories, music inspired stories, which I like that hook, right? The author linked music to each story, and I think that's really brilliant. So I'm excited to read it. As you can see, it is still sealed and bound, still very new, and the prices were not so bad. This is really nice. Looks cute. Doesn't look like you bought it on a roadside, right? But it was in a really nice store. And I have to say, the Jazzhole in Ikoyi was really nice. It's more of like a old timey vibe kind of thing. They have music records, they have magazines, newspapers, they have books on politics, books on agriculture, books on culture. So it's not your typical like bookstore, and they didn't have as much of a selection as I would have liked. But then I also got this from there, the Spirit Danfo by Ugoji Egbujo. And this is talking about Ebulu, a brilliant student, longs to restore his mom, blah, blah, blah. And he does something like he tempts fate by switching majors from medicine to philosophy, and then something, 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 something. I'm super excited to read this because the title is very interesting. If you know Danfo is this yellow buses in Nigeria, and they are brutal. Like, they're dirty, they're stinky, and it's just not a good vibe. So you don't want to, I don't know what this book is about, but we're going to find out. And the Jazzhole, like I said, really nice spot, just didn't have as much of a great selection. And it's in Ikoyi, on the island. Now, the next place that I went to was the Roving Heights shop in Surulere. And Roving Heights was one of the best stops that I went to because they had such a huge selection. They had Brandon Sanderson, they had One Piece mangas, they had mangas, not just One Piece. They had Jujutsu Kaisen, they had everything. They had fantasy, they had fiction, they had a whole selection of African authors, like a lot of columns, maybe like a whole wall of columns of African writers. They had about 5 rooms, where one room was about, international affairs, law. Another was about children, books and stuff like that. Another one was business books. It was a really cute setup, and it was the biggest of all the places that I went. Roving Height is definitely the place to go if you have a wild range of books that you're looking for. And so I got a lot of books from there. I got this one, which is called Jollof Rice and Other Revolutions by Omolola Ijoma Ogunyemi. That's interesting. Her first name is Yoruba, her middle name is Igbo, and her last name is Yoruba. So I'm guessing one of her parents is Igbo. But well, obviously her dad is Yoruba, yeah, and her mom is Igbo because we take the dad's last name. Okay, so this one is something about students in an all girls boarding school. I don't know how this is gonna be. I haven't read it before. I have never heard of this author either, so I'm super excited to this one. I got A Good Name by Yejide Kilanko. Also haven't read this one, but this is talking about someone who lives in the US and went back home to marry someone, and some things transpired. Sefi Atta is someone that everyone, if you know books, you know who Sefi Atta is. She's pretty brilliant, has always written a lot of books. I'm trying to see the most popular one. Everything Good Will Come is one of them. But Sefi Atta is someone that's written from a very long time. And the name is very interesting, The Bad Immigrant. I'm like, how do you know a good and a bad immigrant? Like, tell me about it. I also picked up Three is a Crowd by Chinaza and Anaele. I haven't read this author before. First time I'm picking this book up. But this is about forbidden love. And I it just sounds like something I would like. This girl is dating this guy, but she kind of has feelings for his older brother. So we'll see how that goes. But this looks right up my alley. The last book that I got was In Our Own Ways, again by Yejide Kilanko. This is about a couple that are trying to get pregnant, and something happens. They had the child, but something happens. So it says their marriage crumbles, and I'm super excited, looking forward to reading this one. I don't even know why I got two of this lady's books, but I haven't read her either. The only person that I'm familiar would be Sefi Atta. I haven't read any of the other books authors before. I have to say that it was really hard to narrow down my selections from Roving Heights. They had so much. I just didn't have as much space in my luggage, and I couldn't carry too much. So I was really sad because I almost wanted to take the whole story with me home. The last place that I went to was Book Nook, and this was in Lekki Phase 1. The reason why I went to Book Nook was because I had a friend that pinged me on my trip and asked me to get her books. And she did have like a list of books that she wanted to get. So it was really specific to those books. And most of them are books that I've gotten and I've kind of talked about. I've read them before. So I'm not going to talk about those books. But I did get her 4 to 5 books. And then I ended up getting myself one book, which would be In Such Tremendous Heat by Kehinde Fadipe. I have not read this author before. This is talking about the Lion City, has gone by many names and is famous for many things. So I think it's based in Singapore. Yeah, it's based in Singapore, and we're following 3 women points of view. This is kind of giving me like that book about Sweden and Norway. I forget the name, but I'm super excited to read this one. Hopefully it's interesting. One thing I will say is that I'm very excited about this haul because most of them are authors that I've never read their books before. So I'm very excited to read these books. Now at Book Nook was cute. It was in a shopping mall. They had a good selection, way better than the Jazzhole, but not as good as Roving Heights. Because I bought like 7 books, they actually told me that I could grab a free book from a pile. And so I got this book, which is Because of You by Dawn French. This is kind of given like kids that were switched at birth. Very interesting. I actually started reading it and I'm on like page 36 or something. I'm actually enjoying this. And it's giving me like really old school vibey kind of book. Like how Brandon Daniel Steele kind of book setup if you used to read her. So I'm excited about this one. And I will read it. Well, I have started reading it. So yeah. So those were all the books that I got on my trip to Lagos, Nigeria. I don't know when I'm gonna get to them. I will get to them as soon as I can, but I'm super excited because I feel like I got good books. They were not as expensive as you would buy them here. And also some of them you probably wouldn't even get it on Amazon because they are locally, they're local to Lagos, or maybe they just don't have it here. They don't have retailers here. I don't know, but I just know like I try to pick some of the books that I know I haven't seen them even on Amazon. Maybe if I search, I'll find them. I don't know. But anyways, hey guys, come with me to Lagos, Nigeria to get some books. Like, psych! No, I actually did it. First stop was Roving Heights in Surulere. This was probably one of the best bookshops that I went to. They had a great selection. They had a lot of books. I'm not even joking. They had 2 rooms. They had a lot of fiction books like Brandon Sanderson. They had Robin Hobb. They had a lot of books. I don't know how to say that. And then they had a whole dedicated section to Nigerian fiction, like literally 2 shelves deep. And I was like floored. I was in book heaven, honestly. Like, I was here for like hours, just deciding which books I wanted to take. It was a really hard choice. And then they had manga too. They had One Piece, they had Jujutsu Kaisen, they had One Punch Man. And this was really a really, really good shop. Next up was the Jazzhole in Ikoyi. They didn't allow pictures in this shop, but I went with one of my friends and we had a tea service, which was really great. It was a really great shop. The service was nice. The book was nice. I got 2 books from this location in Ikoyi. The next one was Book Nook. Book Nook is in Lekki Phase 1. And they had a great selection, but not as great as Roving Heights and Surulere. It wasn't bad. And the shop was really pretty with the hanging books and all of that. And so here's my final haul. I got like maybe 7 to 8 books. I really wish I could have gotten more. I didn't have a lot of space in my box. But this was totally awesome. Some of these books I wouldn't even get it on Amazon, or it would be super expensive. But let me know if you've read any of these books and would you actually take a trip like this. Bye. Those were all the books. Let me know if you've read any one of them, or if you have traveled recently. Did you get something on your trip? Or let me know the books that you just finished reading recently. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Until then, bye.